$8,000. That is the starting price for a brand new entry-level Rolex. People are eagerly standing in line to pay it. Consumers wait months and sometimes years in a tightly controlled queue simply for the privilege of handing over that cash. What exactly does this manufacturer understand about value and human psychology that the rest of us do not? Understanding that number requires a breakdown of how a Rolex is actually built, the legacy it carries, and how it behaves in a market that ignores the normal rules of depreciation. In 1905, a 24-year-old named Hans Wilsdorf arrived in London. At the time, wristwatches were considered fragile fashion accessories, but Wilsdorf spent his early career obsessed with turning them into highly precise, durable instruments. He sealed the watch case completely, creating the waterproof Oyster in 1926. To prove it worked, Mercedes Gleitz wore one while swimming across the freezing English Channel for 10 hours. The watch survived intact. That initiated a decades-long testing campaign. Explorers took these watches to the absolute limits of human endurance, including the 1953 expedition to the summit of Mount Everest. Rolex commands a premium today because they accumulated a century of documented performance in extreme environments. They built a reputation through physical validation rather than purchasing it through advertising. Rolex utilizes complete vertical integration, meaning they own every step of their supply chain. Instead of buying parts from outside vendors, they operate an entire industrial ecosystem, right down to running their own foundries to forge a proprietary ultra-hard metal called oyster steel. Inside that steel case, the mechanical movement is assembled by hand. The internal components are machined to tolerances of 1/100th of a millimeter, which is significantly thinner than a human hair. Every movement endures a rigorous 10-day certification process across 5 different positions and 2 temperature extremes. This results in a level of accuracy that far eclipses standard consumer quartz watches. The outer case architecture is built with the same logic as a deep-sea submersible. Some models feature pressure ratings engineered to survive depths far beyond the limits of human biology. When you buy one of these watches, you are paying for the massive capital expenditure required to maintain that uncompromising manufacturing ecosystem. They are building a mechanically permanent object. Rolex produces 1 million watches a year, a flat supply line, while global demand rises steeply above it. This is a deliberate scarcity strategy. As buyers sit on a multi-year waitlist, the psychological value of the object increases. A simple transaction turns into a reward for patience. The brand aligns itself with achievement rather than wealth. It presents the watch as a physical byproduct of a life lived at intensely high levels of performance, suggesting that the owner has earned their place. This shifts the watch from a mechanical tool to a globally recognized shorthand for arrival. If you purchase a high-end car or a designer handbag, it loses value the moment you use it. A well-maintained Rolex presents a rare economic anomaly. It typically does not depreciate after purchase. To see the math on this, look at the vintage market. A gold Daytona model like this one, purchased for around $3,000 in 1985, sold at a Christie's auction for over $3 million. The peak of this appreciation occurs when a watch carries a specific history, like the Daytona originally owned by actor Paul Newman, which sold at auction for over $17 million. 3 economic factors protect this value: a strictly controlled primary supply, indestructible material integrity, and timeless visual consistency. These ensure a model never looks outdated. The high initial retail cost is tempered by the fact that these watches often retain or even exceed their original purchase price years later. For many collectors, this provides a level of financial predictability that is almost non-existent in other consumer goods. So we return to the core question: is an $8,000 price tag actually worth it? If you are buying it solely for social validation, or because you are chasing a fleeting influencer trend, the answer is no, it is not worth it. However, if you are looking for a standard of craftsmanship that has largely disappeared from modern manufacturing, the calculation changes. It becomes an heirloom designed for intergenerational transfer, a design meant to outlast the person who bought it. Hans Wilsdorf did not set out to create a luxury pricing model. His original goal was the pursuit of absolute, uncompromising mechanical precision. A Rolex is a purchase of permanence in an otherwise disposable world. Whether that permanence justifies the cost is a judgment only you can make.